Well, hey everyone, and welcome to our second edition of Night at the Movies. Let me tell you, I am so excited about this series because I love movies, and I love seeing how God is a part of our world even today. You see, God isn't just stuck in the Bible. No, God is alive and well in our world right now. And so Kinsey and I wanted us to take a moment and see how God is all around us. So last week we looked at how God imagery was a part of The Greatest Showman. And tonight we're looking at one of my favorite movies, The Lion King. The first edition of The Lion King, the first enactment of it, was in 1994. It was an animated edition. And let me tell you, that first edition, I was born in 94, and my dad and I watched The Lion King when I was young so many times. I can't tell you how many times I watched it. Well, then in 2019, they reimagined it, reenacted The Lion King in a live-action film, and my dad and I were hyped about it. Well, The Lion King never changes. It is one of the best movies of all time, in my opinion. You see, The Lion King follows Simba. He is the next king. He is the Prince of Pride Rock. And in this movie, there is so much God imagery in it. And tonight, I want to talk about 3 different ways in which I see God imagery a part of this movie. The first way is that of community. We all know that being a Christian, community is so a part of our religion. Community is who we are. We were made to be in community. And so in this movie, you see community as a big part of Pride Rock and a part of Simba's life. When Simba was first born, he was presented at Pride Rock as when the Lion King opens up. We all know that the iconic moment when the Lion King starts and you hear that momentous music, right? I'm not even going to try to sing it, but you know that moment. It just gives you chills. And Simba's presented, he's held up in front of Pride Rock. Well, that moment, you look out and you see the community, right? All of the animals are there to see him presented as the next king. He is there as the next king, and he's consecrated as the next king of Pride Rock. Well, that moment is almost like a baptism, because in that moment, he is said, right? He is presented to everyone. In baptism, you are sealed as God's chosen one, and you are presented to God. And so at baptism, especially in the United Methodist tradition, in that moment, as an infant, and whenever you're baptized, the entire church promises to raise you up in the Christian faith. And that's what that community was doing. And for me, it's so cool to see community in this movie. And community is not just a part of the young Simba's life, it's a part of his entire life, because you see the community also a part of his life when he comes back to Pride Rock, even after all the mishaps he had done, even after he had messed up, he thought, so bad. When he comes back to Pride Rock, the community is there to welcome him back and to be a part of his life. And that is what it's like to be a Christian. The community is always there. So community, number 1. Number 2 is grace, consequences and grace. You see, in this movie, Simba, he did make some mistakes. When he was real little, he wanted to explore, right? He wanted to go out and to see everything that was out there. His father, Mufasa, the king, had told him that you couldn't go where the light didn't touch, right? You couldn't go far out. Well, he wanted to explore. And so he took his young lady friend Nala with him, and they ended up where the hyenas are. They ended up in a place that they were not supposed to be. And his father had to save him and save Nala. And they were in trouble. And his father was so disappointed in him. And there's this scene where his father tells him how disappointed he is. And Zazu, who is Mufasa's right-hand person, right? His right-hand bird. And he has Zazu take Nala back, and he tells Simba, he tells him he has to teach him a lesson. And he tells Simba how disappointed he is in him because of the choices that he has made. In that moment, I see grace. I see a father taking his son under his wing and telling him how disappointed he is, but how much he loves him and how much he wants to help him along the path. Grace, consequences and grace. You see, Simba had to reap the consequences, right? He had to face what he had done. The consequences were still going to be there, but his father gave him grace. That's what our Heavenly Father does. God is always going to be there. And we're always going to have to face the consequences of what we do, of our choices. But there's always grace. Our Father is always there to welcome us home. And our Father is always going to be there right beside us. It's a beautiful, beautiful image. I love it. And the Lion King, it's just amazing how we see this in this moment. And well, the third image that I see in the Lion King is calling. You see, Simba was destined to be the next king of Pride Rock, right? There's this beautiful song, this catchy song where he just can't wait to be king. We all know that song, right? You sing it all the time. I just can't wait to be king. Simba was destined to be that. He had a calling on his life to be the next king. And he had in him the leadership capabilities to do that. You were created in the image of God. You, a son or daughter of God, were created in his image to do great things. And you have a calling on your life to do something great for him. What's beautiful about our Creator is that he created every single one of us in different ways. And that wherever you end up, whatever you're doing, God's going to use you in that moment. And God has gifted us with all of us with each different gifts and graces. And that's the beautiful thing about our world and about the Christian community is that we all can't do the same thing. We weren't made to do the same thing. We each have our own calling on our lives. I didn't think I was going to be a pastor, and yet I now feel the call on my life to be a pastor, and here I am. And so in this movie, we still see calling, we see destiny, and that's an amazing thing. So in The Lion King, we see community, we see grace, we see calling. God is all around in this movie. And so friends, I hope that tonight, this week, you'll take a look at The Lion King and you'll see how God is working in this movie and hopefully will touch your own heart. And maybe this week, you'll see how God is working in some of the movies that you're watching and maybe even some of the music that you're listening to. God is all around us. And when we open up our hearts and our minds and our ears, it's amazing how differently we might see and hear and see God in new ways. So I hope that you've enjoyed this. I hope that you see God in new ways and maybe you see the Lion King in a new way too. Have an amazing night and an even better week. Bye, guys.